The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was a massive, circular chamber floating above the capital city of Zephyrian Prime. Its ceiling shimmered with artificial starlight, a reminder of the vast universe under the Council's rule. In the center stood a long table, surrounded by representatives from over 100 alien species. Some had tentacles, others had scales, and a few floated above the ground, their forms wrapped in energy fields. They were the leaders of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. And today, they had gathered for one reason: humanity. Daniel Cross, Earth's ambassador, sat in his chair with a calm expression. He wore a formal suit, simple yet professional, but his sharp eyes revealed his thoughts. He knew why he was here. He knew what the Council wanted. At the head of the table, a tall, blue-skinned alien named High Chancellor Velrin raised a three-fingered hand. His voice echoed across the chamber. "Ambassador Cross, the Council has reached a decision." Velrin's tone was cold, but not hostile. Humanity's rapid military expansion is a threat to galactic stability. We can no longer allow it. Daniel tilted his head slightly. "A threat," he repeated. "I wasn't aware that defending ourselves was a crime." A reptilian alien, General Kethar of the Dravic Empire, let out a low hiss. "You call it defense. We call it aggression," he said. "In the past 50 years, humanity has built more warships than any other species. You have developed new weapons, new battle strategies. Tell me, why does a peaceful race need so much power?" Daniel leaned back in his chair. "Because the galaxy is not peaceful," he answered simply. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Some representatives exchanged uneasy glances. Others remained silent. They knew he was right. The universe was dangerous. Pirates raided trade routes. Rival empires fought over territory. And then there were species like the Vathar Dominion, a war-driven civilization that conquered anything in its path. Velrin cleared his throat. "We understand your concerns, Ambassador Cross. But the Council believes diplomacy, not war, is the path to peace." Daniel exhaled through his nose. "Diplomacy," he echoed. "Tell me, Chancellor, how many times has the Council stopped a war with words alone?" Silence. Daniel nodded. "Exactly. The only reason some species listen to the Council is because they fear what happens if they don't. And yet, when humanity strengthens itself, suddenly we are the problem." A short, insect-like alien clicked its mandibles. "You are the problem," it said. "Humans think differently. You are unpredictable. You are aggressive. If we allow this to continue, you may become the next galactic threat." Daniel let out a dry chuckle. "So that's what this is about. You fear us." The room tensed. No one wanted to admit it, but it was the truth. Humanity was new to the galactic stage, but they had advanced faster than any species before them. In less than 2 centuries, they had gone from an isolated planet to a military powerhouse. Their adaptability, their determination, it scared the older races. Velrin folded his hands. "The Council has made its decision," he said. "Effective immediately, humanity is forbidden from further military expansion. All new warship production must stop. All research into advanced weaponry must cease. If these demands are ignored, sanctions will be placed on Earth." Daniel's jaw tightened. He wasn't surprised, but that didn't make it any less frustrating. "And if we refuse?" he asked. Velrin's expression darkened. "Then the Council will take necessary actions." A threat. A veiled one, but a threat nonetheless. Daniel slowly stood up. "I see," he said. His voice remained calm, but there was steel behind his words. "Tell me, Chancellor, if we stop defending ourselves and a real war comes, will the Council protect us?" Velrin hesitated. "The Council does not involve itself in personal conflicts." Daniel smirked. "Exactly." He pushed his chair back. "Earth will discuss this matter internally. Until then, we make no promises." Without waiting for permission, he turned and walked toward the exit. The chamber buzzed with whispers, but no one stopped him. As Daniel left the Grand Hall, his mind was already racing. The Council had made its stance clear. Humanity had a choice: submit or stand alone. And Daniel had a feeling that soon, very soon, the Council would regret trying to leash humanity. The Galactic Council thought they had time. For centuries, they had ruled the galaxy with diplomacy, alliances, and strict laws against war. When they ordered humanity to stop its military expansion, they believed Earth would obey, like all other species had before. They were wrong. Just 2 months after the Council's decision, the Vathar Dominion attacked. The Vathar were not like the Council races. They did not believe in diplomacy. They did not hold meetings. They did not sign peace treaties. They only believed in one thing: conquest. Their fleet came from the dark edges of space, emerging without warning. Thousands of warships, armed with plasma cannons and energy lances, descended upon Council worlds. Their strategy was simple: strike fast, crush resistance, take control. The first target was Keltris IV, a mid-sized planet rich in resources. The Council had stationed a defensive fleet there, believing it would be enough. It wasn't. The Vathar ships swarmed like a pack of hungry beasts, tearing through the Council's forces in hours. The planetary shields fell. Cities burned. Millions died. Panic spread across the galaxy. Council leaders scrambled for solutions, but they had spent centuries avoiding war. Their fleets were small, their armies weak. They had never fought a true war. And now, they were paying the price. The Council's plea for help. On Earth, Ambassador Daniel Cross stood in his office, watching the news reports. He saw the burning cities. He saw the desperate Council forces trying and failing to hold the line. And he knew what was coming next. His communicator buzzed. A hologram appeared before him. Chancellor Velrun, the same alien who, just weeks ago, had demanded humanity stop its military growth. Velrun's usually calm face was tense. His voice, always full of authority, now held something new: fear. Ambassador Cross, Velrun said, the Council requests an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders. Daniel crossed his arms. I thought the Council didn't involve itself in personal conflicts. Velrun flinched but recovered quickly. The Vathar Dominion is not a personal conflict, he said. They are a threat to all of us. The Council is calling upon all member species to unite against this invasion. Daniel raised an eyebrow. And what exactly do you want from Earth? Velrun hesitated for only a moment. We need your fleet. Daniel let out a small chuckle. Our military fleet, the one you demanded we stop expanding. Velrun's expression tightened. Yes. For a moment, Daniel said nothing. He let the silence stretch, watching the Chancellor shift uncomfortably. Then, finally, he spoke. I'll pass the message to Earth's leaders, he said. But let me ask you this, Chancellor, why should we help? Velrun blinked, because if the Vathar are not stopped, they will come for Earth too. Daniel nodded slowly. Maybe. But tell me, Chancellor, if the Council survives this war, will humanity still be seen as a threat? Velrun hesitated. He knew what Daniel was really asking. If humanity helped now, would the Council still try to control them later? Finally, Velrun sighed. This is not the time for politics, Ambassador. Billions of lives are at stake. Daniel's expression remained unreadable. I'll let my leaders decide. He ended the call. But deep down, he already knew the answer. Humanity's decision. The Council did not have to wait long. Within hours, a response was sent. Earth would fight. Not because the Council asked, not because they wanted a seat at the table, but because humanity did not wait for war to reach their doorstep. The United Terran Fleet was mobilized. Massive battleships, sleek fighter squadrons, and advanced war drones prepared for combat. Unlike the Council, humanity had been ready for war. The Vathar had made a mistake. They thought the Council was weak. They were right. But they also thought humanity was weak, and they were about to learn just how wrong they were. The first strike. Captain Roy Briggs stood on the bridge of the UTS Valiant, staring at the holographic battle map. His fleet had just entered the Keltras system, moving in fast and hard. The Vathar forces were still there, occupying the planet. They had wiped out the Council fleet, but they had not expected reinforcements. Briggs cracked his knuckles. "Let's show these aliens how humans fight," he said. The battle began. Unlike the Council, who relied on defensive tactics, humanity fought with speed, aggression, and strategy. The Valiant launched its hyperlance cannons, piercing Vathar warships in a single shot. Human fighter squadrons weaved between enemy formations, striking weak points with deadly precision. Stealth drones slipped behind enemy lines, disabling key systems. The Vathar were not prepared for this. In the first 20 minutes, the Terran fleet destroyed over 50 enemy ships. In an hour, the Vathar's entire occupation fleet was retreating. Keltras IV was liberated. The galaxy watches. Across the galaxy, everyone was watching. The Council leaders, once doubtful of humanity's strength, now stared in shock. In one battle, humanity had done what the Council could not do in months. Some were relieved. Some were afraid. But all of them understood one thing: humanity was now a major power. And this war had only just begun. The liberation of Keltras IV had shaken the galaxy. News of humanity's victory spread fast. The once invincible Vathar Dominion had been forced into retreat, not by the Council, not by any ancient empire, but by humans. Across the Galactic Council's many worlds, opinions were divided. Some were relieved that humanity had joined the fight. Others were terrified. If humans could defeat the Vathar so easily, what else were they capable of? But while the Council debated, humanity prepared for war. Earth's War Council. On Earth, deep beneath the capital city of New Avalon, the leaders of the United Terran Command gathered in the War Council chamber. The massive room was filled with holographic battle maps, live reports from the front lines, and dozens of military officials. At the head of the table sat Admiral Jonas Reeve, the supreme commander of the Terran fleet. His gray uniform was simple, but his presence demanded respect. His sharp blue eyes scanned the reports as he listened to the officers around him. "The Vathar are regrouping," said General Markov, head of ground forces. "We intercepted their transmissions. After our victory at Keltras IV, they are preparing for a counterattack." Reeve nodded. "We expected this. The Vathar won't let a defeat go unanswered." He turned to Director Patel, the head of Terran intelligence. "Do we have their next target?" Patel adjusted her glasses and tapped a control panel. The holographic image of a planet appeared above the table. Zenith 7. The image showed a large, rocky world with massive industrial cities. "The Council relies on Zenith 7 for ship production," Patel explained. "If the Vathar take it, the Council loses a key supply world." Markov scoffed. "The Council is already losing this war. They rely on diplomacy, not strategy." He leaned forward. "We should strike first. If we hit the Vathar before they reach Zenith 7, we take control of the battlefield." Reeve considered this. "Agreed. But we don't just defend. We push forward." He looked at the assembled leaders. "We are not here to fight the Council's battles for them. We are here to win this war." The room fell silent. The meaning was clear. This was not just about protecting the galaxy. This was about humanity's future. Reeve stood. "Mobilize the fleet. We attack before the Vathar know what's coming." The first offensive. 2 days later, the largest human fleet in history launched into deep space. Hundreds of warships, from massive battleships to fast attack cruisers, moved through hyperspace toward Vathar territory. Unlike the slow-moving Council fleets, the Terran fleet struck with precision and speed. At the front of the attack was Captain Roy Briggs, commander of the UTS Valiant. His orders were simple: lead the first strike, disrupt enemy forces, and clear the way for the main fleet. On the bridge of the Valiant, Briggs stood with his hands behind his back, watching the enemy fleet appear on the scanners. The Vathar were ready. Over 200 enemy warships floated near the gas giant HFY, forming a blockade. Briggs smirked. "They think we'll attack head-on," he muttered. "Let's teach them how humans fight." He turned to his crew. "All ships, execute Talon formation." The fleet split into 3 groups. The enemy, expecting a direct battle, adjusted their formations, but Briggs had no intention of fighting them evenly. Phase 1. Distraction. The first group of Terran warships charged straight at the enemy, firing high-energy railguns and missile barrages. The Vathar focused their attention on this force, believing it to be the main attack. Phase 2. Sabotage. While the Vathar were distracted, stealth drones slipped behind enemy lines, targeting critical systems. Weapons arrays malfunctioned. Shields flickered. Communications jammed. Phase 3. The killing blow. Briggs and the Valiant led the final group in a high-speed flanking maneuver. Moving faster than the enemy could react, they smashed into the Vathar's exposed side, tearing through their ships in brutal efficiency. In less than an hour, the blockade was broken. The Council watches in shock. From their command center on Zefarian Prime, the Galactic Council monitored the battle. The alien leaders, once skeptical of humanity, could only watch in stunned silence. The Terran fleet was unlike anything they had ever seen. The Council's fleets fought defensively. They focused on protecting their own. Humanity fought to win. They used deception, speed, and overwhelming force. They adapted mid-battle. They took risks, and they succeeded. One of the Council members, a reptilian Dravik general, let out a low growl. "They fight like predators." Chancellor Velrun, still watching the battle reports, sighed. "No," he whispered. "They fight like survivors." For the first time, the Council truly understood what made humans dangerous. A new plan. With its Syrian 5 blockade destroyed, the Terran fleet pushed deeper into Vathar space. They did not wait for the enemy to regroup. They kept moving. Captain Briggs, standing over the holographic battle map, turned to his officers. "We're not stopping here," he said. "The Vathar think we're just here to defend. They're wrong." He pointed at a nearby Vathar supply world. "We take that, and they start losing this war." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Hill, grinned. "No mercy." Briggs shook his head. No hesitation. As the fleet prepared for its next attack, one thing was clear. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were taking over. The Vathar Dominion had never known defeat. For centuries, they had expanded their empire, crushing any who resisted. Their fleets were massive, their armies ruthless. The Galactic Council feared them. Most species surrendered without a fight. But now, for the first time, the Vathar were on the defensive. And the ones forcing them back. Humans, deep in Vathar space. The Terran fleet moved like a storm. Where the Vathar expected hesitation, they found relentless aggression. Where they prepared for a slow advance, they faced blitzkrieg tactics. Their next target was Drexus 9, a critical Vathar supply world. The Dominion used it to refuel ships, repair damage, and store weapons. Taking it would cripple their war efforts. Captain Roy Briggs stood on the bridge of the UTS Valiant, analyzing the enemy defenses. Defensive turrets, shield generators, ground forces, they had fortified the planet well, said Lieutenant Hale, his second-in-command. Briggs smirked. Not well enough. He turned to the fleet's command channel. "All ships, prepare for the attack. Let's show them what happens when you threaten humanity." The battle began. The assault on Drexus 9. The Vathar defense fleet was waiting. Hundreds of warships formed a blockade around the planet, ready to repel the humans. They expected a standard attack. They did not expect human unpredictability. Phase 1. The false retreat. The Terran fleet charged forward, firing heavy cannons and missile barrages. The Vathar moved to intercept. Then, suddenly, the humans pulled back. The Vathar, thinking they had the advantage, pushed forward in pursuit. They abandoned their formation, trying to chase down the retreating human ships. That was their mistake. Phase 2, the ambush. Hidden in the asteroid belt near Drexus 9, a second human fleet, led by Admiral Jonas Reef himself, activated their stealth drives and struck from the flank. It was brutal. The Vothar's fleet was caught off guard. Their formations collapsed. Human railguns tore through their armor. Bombers disabled their engines. Within minutes, half the Vothar blockade was destroyed. Phase 3, the ground invasion. With the skies clear, the Terran drop corps descended on the planet. Thousands of heavily armored soldiers landed in drop pods, smashing into the Vothar fortifications. The fighting was fierce. The Vothar were experienced warriors, but they fought wars of dominance. They were not used to a species that fought like it had nothing to lose. The battle lasted 6 hours. By the end, the human flag flew over Drexus 9. The Council reacts. The Galactic Council watched in disbelief. In just a few weeks, the war had completely changed. Humanity had gone from defending Council worlds to launching their own attacks. On Zefarian Prime, the Council leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The holographic screen in the chamber showed the latest battle reports. "This is madness," muttered a reptilian diplomat. "The humans are not just fighting the Vothar. They are winning." Chancellor Velrin rubbed his temples. "We knew they were dangerous. But this, a large, armored alien, General Kethar of the Dravic Empire, leaned forward. "Perhaps we judged them too harshly," he said. "Perhaps we need them more than we thought." Velrin frowned. "What are you suggesting?" Kethar's sharp teeth gleamed. "We give humanity full military rights within the Council." Gasps filled the room. A small insectoid alien clicked its mandibles. "You want to give them power, after everything." Kethar slammed a fist on the table. "Power? They already have power. And right now, they are the only ones keeping the Vothar from conquering us all." Silence. For the first time, the Council truly understood. Humanity was no longer just another species. They were a force, a power unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. And the Council had a choice: fight against them or stand beside them. The Vothar's response. The Vothar Dominion was furious. Their leader, High Warlord Jernak, watched as another report came in. Another fleet lost, another planet taken. He slammed his clawed fist on his throne. "These humans," he growled. "They are more dangerous than we thought." A Vothar general kneeled before him. "Shall we send more reinforcements, Warlord?" Jernak's glowing red eyes narrowed. "No," he said. "More ships will not stop them. They do not fight like the Council. They do not retreat. They strike, and they keep striking." He stood up. "We must change our strategy." The general hesitated. "How, Warlord?" Jernak bared his teeth. "Simple. If we cannot defeat them in battle, we will break them from within." The next move. On board the UTS Valiant, Captain Briggs sat in his quarters, looking at the latest reports. Humanity was winning, but he knew the war was far from over. A knock at the door. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Hale, stepped inside. "Sir, we intercepted a strange transmission." Briggs raised an eyebrow. "From where?" Hale hesitated. "Earth." Briggs' eyes narrowed. "Put it on." The screen flickered. A distorted voice came through. "Humanity, your true enemy is not the Vothar." Briggs leaned forward. "What the hell is this?" The voice continued. "The Council fears you. They will never accept you. When this war is over, they will turn against you." The message ended. Silence filled the room. Hale frowned. "Sir, what do we do?" Briggs exhaled slowly. Someone was trying to manipulate them. But was it the Vothar? Or was it the truth? He stood up. "For now," he said, "we keep fighting." But deep down he knew This war was about to get even more complicated. The war had changed. Humanity was no longer just defending. They were advancing. The Vathar Dominion had suffered defeat after defeat, losing key supply lines and strategic worlds. The Galactic Council watched in shock as humans proved what no other species had. The Vathar were not invincible. But victory had a price. And now, a new threat lurked in the shadows. A hidden enemy. Captain Roy Briggs stood in the war room of the UTSS Valiant, staring at the flickering transmission on the holographic screen. The Council fears you. They will never accept you. When this war is over, they will turn against you. The message had come from an unknown source on Earth. No identity, no traceable signal. But its purpose was clear: to create doubt. Briggs clenched his jaw. The Council had always been reluctant about humanity's rise, but would they really betray them? Lieutenant Hale, standing beside him, crossed his arms. "You think it's the Vathar trying to mess with us?" "Maybe," Briggs said. "Or maybe someone in the Council really does see us as a threat." Hale sighed. "So what's the plan? Do we trust the Council or not?" Briggs stared at the stars outside the viewport. "For now, we keep fighting. The Vathar are still the enemy." He turned to the bridge crew. "But stay alert. I don't trust politics." The Council's decision. On Zefarian Prime, the Galactic Council was in turmoil. Humanity's victories had changed the balance of power. The Council had expected humans to be a strong ally, but not this strong. In the Grand Chamber, Chancellor Velrin stood before the assembled leaders. "We must face reality," he said. "The humans have turned the tide of war. But what happens when the war is over?" A tall insectoid diplomat clicked its mandibles. "Are you suggesting they will turn on us?" Velrin hesitated. "Not yet, but their nature is unpredictable." General Kethar of the Dravic Empire growled. "Unpredictable, or simply willing to do what we could not." He leaned forward. "You are all afraid of them. But tell me, would you rather have them as allies or as enemies?" Silence. Kethar's yellow eyes narrowed. "Because if you push them away, they will not stand alone. They will build their own empire." Velrin exhaled. "Then we must ensure that does not happen." Decisions were being made, and not all of them favored humanity. The Vathar's trap. Meanwhile, the Vathar Dominion was preparing its counterattack. High Warlord Jernak stood in the darkened war chamber of his flagship. A massive holographic display showed the recent battles, defeats, retreats, losses. Unacceptable. A Vathar strategist bowed. "Warlord, the humans move too fast. Their tactics are unlike the Council's." Jernak's red eyes gleamed. "Then we must stop fighting them like we fight the Council." He pointed at the hologram. "A human-controlled world. Magnar 2. They expect a battle of fleets," Jernak said. "Instead, we take something they will not expect." The general hesitated. "You mean?" Jernak grinned, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "We take hostages." The attack on Magnar 2. Magnar 2 was a recently liberated world, still recovering from Vathar rule. Its people, both human and alien, had barely begun to rebuild when the attack came. The Vathar did not arrive with a fleet. Instead, they sent stealth dropships, elite soldiers, and infiltration teams. By the time the alarm sounded, it was too late. The Vathar stormed government buildings, captured military officers, and rounded up civilians. They avoided unnecessary destruction. This was not about war. This was about sending a message. Within hours, a new transmission spread across the galaxy. The image of Vathar warriors standing over bound human soldiers and civilians appeared on every channel. Jernak's voice was cold and sharp. "Humanity, you have taken much from us. Now we take from you." He raised a clawed hand. "Surrender, or watch your people suffer." Humanity's dilemma. On board the UTS Valiant, the crew stood in silence as they watched the transmission. Captain Briggs clenched his fists. The Vathar were playing dirty. Hale's voice was quiet but firm. We don't negotiate, Huey. Briggs took a deep breath. No, but this changes things. Admiral Jonas Reeve appeared on the command channel, his face grim. The Vathar have crossed a line, he said. We cannot allow this. Briggs nodded. Then what's the move, sir? Reeve's eyes burned with determination. We send a message of our own. The reckoning. Humanity did not waste time. The Terran fleet mobilized like never before. They did not just prepare for battle. They prepared for retribution. Briggs stood at the helm of the USS Valiant, staring at the map of enemy-controlled space. This isn't about strategy anymore, he said. The Vathar made it personal. The fleet jumped into hyperspace. Destination: the heart of the Vathar Dominion. And this time, they weren't just coming to fight. They were coming to end the war. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity was no longer just fighting a war. They were ending it. The Vathar Dominion had taken human hostages from Magnar II, believing that fear would weaken humanity's resolve. They were wrong. All they had done was ignite a fire. Now, the full force of the Terran fleet was heading straight for the Vathar homeworlds. This was not diplomacy. This was vengeance. The Council watches in silence. On Zefarian Prime, the Galactic Council observed the unfolding events in stunned silence. The human fleet, larger than any seen before, was advancing into the heart of Vathar space. Chancellor Velrin turned to General Kethar. This is madness. Kethar, the warrior of the Dravic Empire, simply nodded. Madness? No, this is human nature. A reptilian diplomat hissed. If they succeed, humanity will become the strongest power in the galaxy. Velron's eyes darkened. And if they fail? Kethar's voice was low. Then there will be no humanity left. The Council had a choice: help the humans or let them fight alone. And not everyone wanted them to win. The battle begins. The Terran fleet arrived in Vathar space like a storm. Led by Captain Roy Briggs and Admiral Jonas Reeve, they wasted no time. The first target, the Black Fortress, a massive Vathar stronghold orbiting Valkyris Prime, the Dominion's homeworld. It was heavily defended, surrounded by warships, planetary cannons, and orbital defenses. A direct assault would be suicidal. But humans didn't fight like other species. They didn't follow the rules. Briggs stood on the bridge of the USS Valiant, watching the enemy formations. All right, he said, let's remind them who they're dealing with. The battle erupted. Phase 1. The distraction. The USS Valiant and its battle group charged forward, drawing the Vathar fleet into a chaotic skirmish. The Dominion expected a standard fleet engagement. They did not expect Phase 2. Phase 2, the Shadow Strike. While the main fleet distracted the Vathar, stealth ships slipped through their defenses. They weren't here to fight. They were here to rescue the hostages. The rescue mission. Deep within the Black Fortress, hundreds of humans and alien prisoners were held in dark cells. They had lost hope until they heard the sound of explosions. And then the walls burst open. Human soldiers, clad in advanced battle armor, stormed the prison halls. Silent, fast, unstoppable. One of the prisoners, a Terran officer, looked up in shock. You actually came. A soldier grinned. We don't leave our own behind. The prison break had begun. The Vathar's last stand. High Warlord Jernak watched the battle unfold from his war chamber. The Black Fortress was falling. The hostages were being freed. And now, the Terran fleet was advancing towards Valkyris Prime. Jernak's claws tightened. The humans, they will not stop. His generals stood in silence. They had never seen the Dominion losing like this. Jernak exhaled. Then we make them bleed for every step they take. He turned to his war table, activating a final command. If we fall, we take them with us. The final blow. With the hostages safely evacuated, Admiral Reeve gave the order. All ships, fire everything. The Black Fortress trembled as missiles, railgun rounds, and plasma cannons tore into it. The once mighty stronghold collapsed, breaking apart in a fiery explosion. The Vathar fleet, leaderless and broken, began to retreat. But humanity wasn't done. Griggs turned to his crew. Set course for Valkyrus Prime. The war wasn't over. Not yet. Humanity had come this far. Now they would finish it. The final battle had begun. The Terran fleet, battle-scared but unbroken, descended upon Valkyrus Prime, the heart of the Vathar dominion. The Vathar had ruled with fear for centuries. Now, for the first time, they were afraid. Humanity had come not just to win, but to end the war. The last defense. High Warlord Jernak stood in the command chamber of the Valkyrus War Citadel. The planet's orbital defenses were still active, but they would not hold for long. The humans are attacking with full force, his chief strategist reported. The Black Fortress is lost. Our fleet is in retreat. Jernak growled, his claws digging into the war table. Then we fight to the last breath. His generals hesitated. Never before had the Dominion faced an enemy that did not fear them. Jernak looked at the holographic display of the incoming Terran ships. He knew what would happen if they lost. There would be no peace, no surrender. The Terrans would wipe out the Dominion. Jernak made his decision. Activate the planetary defense grid. Prepare every soldier. If the humans want Valkyrus Prime, they will drown in blood to take it. The storm breaks. Captain Roy Briggs stood on the bridge of the USS Valiant, staring at the massive Vathar homeworld below. Scans, he asked. Lieutenant Hale checked his display. Heavy ground forces, anti-air defenses. They're not running. Briggs nodded. Good. We don't have time to chase them. The order was given. The Terran fleet attacked. Orbital bombardments struck Vathar strongholds, weapon facilities, and command centers. Drop pods rained from the sky, carrying thousands of Terran Marines into battle. The Vathar fought like cornered beasts, desperate and furious. But humanity was relentless. In the streets of Valkyrus Prime, battles rage. Human soldiers moved with precision, speed, and brutal efficiency. For every human that fell, 10 Vathar died. The Dominion was collapsing. And in the War Citadel, Jernak prepared for his final stand. The warlords fall. Briggs and his strike team reached the War Citadel, blasting through elite Vathar guards. The hallways were dark, filled with the scent of battle. Jernak was waiting. The massive Vathar warlord stood at the top of the throne chamber, his armor battered but his eyes burning with fury. You think this war ends today? Jernak growled. Griggs raised his weapon. It ends with you. Jernak charged. The fight was brutal. Jernak's claws slashed through armor, his strength enough to throw men across the room. But Briggs and his team fought with everything they had. Jernak struck Briggs, sending him crashing into a wall. You are strong, Jernak admitted, but not strong enough. Briggs wiped blood from his mouth. You don't get it, do you? He raised his sidearm. Bang! A single shot, straight through Jernak's head. The Vathar warlord staggered. Then, slowly, he collapsed. The Dominion had fallen. Aftermath. The news spread across the galaxy. The Vathar Dominion, once feared by all, was no more. The council gathered to discuss what came next. Chancellor Velrin spoke cautiously. Humanity has proven itself. General Kethar of the Dravic Empire smirked. They have done more than that. They have reshaped the galaxy. For the first time in history, the council had no choice but to recognize humanity as an equal power. But not everyone was pleased. Time would tell. The victory of humanity. On board the USS Valiant, Briggs stood with his crew, watching the shattered remains of the Vathar Empire. Hale crossed his arms. So, what happens now? Briggs exhaled. We go home. Briggs chuckled. Let them try to stop us. Humanity had won. But the stars still held new challenges, new enemies, and new wars. And if history had proven anything, humans would always be ready.